Hello, I just want to invite you again to an episode of A Biblical Lens on today's events. To do this, I want to go back to the early kingdom of Israel when Solomon has passed away and the throne is to be passed to his son Rehoboam. Rehoboam has all of Israel come to Shechem to anoint him as king. In that time, Jeroboam, who is another leader that fled under King Solomon, he was an adversary to King Solomon's policies, comes back to Israel, and he gets 10 tribes to come under him as a political statesman to approach the new king, Rehoboam. Rehoboam hears the people that say, "Listen, Rehoboam, we want to anoint you as king. However, your father's policies and taxes were a heavy yoke upon us." Well, in 1 Kings chapter 12, we find there's a discussion. King Rehoboam, or soon to be King Rehoboam, goes to the advisors that had been with his father, King Solomon. King Solomon, being the wisest man on the earth in dealing with politics and maneuvering things, had these men advise him, and they said to Rehoboam, "Listen, if you become a servant to these people and you listen to their concerns and you change the course of the policies that are at hand, they will be your servants forever. What do you think about that, king?" The Bible tells us Rehoboam didn't like that advice. So he went and sought out people who were from his own perspective, his own age, that were basically yes men and young and excitable and didn't have as much wisdom as his dad or even his elders did. And these young men said, "Listen, you tell those people, you think my dad was tough on you? My waist, his waist is small. My pinky finger is thicker than his waist. He scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." The people come back 3 days later. Sure enough, Rehoboam takes the young men's advice and he pushes forward a policy that was heavy upon the people and discouraging them and bringing them down. He makes that comment, and therefore Jeroboam says, "See, look at this guy. Let's take off and start our own kingdom." At which point it starts spiritual decline in the northern kingdom, but also starts war, a lack of trade, frustrations, and constant friction between the northern and southern kingdom that goes on until the time of Nineveh coming to power and taking them away in the exiles. That's the reality. Well, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it rhymes. Why? Because the Bible describes human nature for what it is. We saw in our own country a massive trade war just occur overnight by a president's declaration. Now, granted, he did tell us, he did signal, "I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something." It shocked the entire world. The stock market began to plummet. Our allies began to question our connection together. China is rattling sabers and causing trouble. Why? Because that was a heavy burden put upon all people. And when you have trade wars and tariffs, it does benefit one group, but it's a very small group that benefits oftentimes, and many people have to pay the price. Well, fortunately, our President Trump had a revelation in watching the stock market, having people that he had some awareness of challenge him and respond to him. He didn't keep on listening to the confusing muddy waters that came out of his administration. If you listen to the news and listen to people in his administration, you can clearly see, just like in Solomon's time, there are different reasons why one person believed in the tariffs, other person didn't. There's different timelines given by one person in the administration over another person. A lot of confusion. And thankfully, President Trump listened to the people. And although you may think damage has been done, and I'm sure there has been damage done, he listened and turned around. That is actually a sign of wisdom and strength in this situation. Now we have to give grace going. Sometimes leaders have ideas that are based upon goals, but getting to that goal may not always be occurring through the pattern or plan they had. And thankfully, sometimes we see politicians not be dogmatic and turn around. Unfortunately, for Rehoboam, he didn't do that. Unfortunately for Israel, he didn't do that, and it caused a great split. And hopefully, we see better days ahead in the United States and our allies, and that our enemies come around and break their stranglehold upon what's evil and bring forth good through free trade, honest trade, and freedom of religion, and an opening to what real faith is. Well, God bless you, and I hope that you find the wisdom of God in the Bible and learn how to apply it in your daily life and how you interpret events going on in your life, that you can follow God and know Him, especially during this Easter season.